Now, this next scene you're about to see from Goodfellas, it's Italians' dinner in prison, which is extremely special to us. And the funny part about the scene from Goodfellas, it was in Lewisburg Penitentiary, where in the early 90s, I was actually at that prison. So let's get started.
In prison, dinner was always a big thing. We had a pasta course, and then we had a meat or a fish. Paulie did the prep work. He was doing a year for contempt, and he had this wonderful system for...
You see Paulie chopping up the garlic, and it's funny because when I was in Lewisburg Penitentiary, if I was cooking, I was really close with Oscar Ansorian, who was very close with Vic Amuso, who was the boss of the Lucchese crime family. And Oscar would be my garlic guy. He would chop the garlic up just the way Paulie is. It sounds weird, but listen, we have our little quirks in jail, but and we try to make the best out of it.
Doing the garlic. He used a razor, and he used to slice it so thin that it used to liquefy in the pan with just a little oil. It's a very good system. Vinny was in charge of the tomato sauce.
Wow, got the smoke.
With the tomato sauce he's talking about, we would actually have kitchen guys, kitchen workers, we put them on contract, where they would actually steal the cans of tomatoes out of the kitchen. Then sometimes in the summertime, we get lucky, because at Lewisburg, they had an actual field where they would grow tomato, grow vegetables. So we would get fresh tomatoes, we'd boil them, blanch them, and use that for our sauce as well.
There are kinds of meat in the meatballs. You've got veal, beef, and pork.
Ah, good, but you gotta have the pork.
Oh, that's the flavor.
I felt he used too many onions, but it was still a very good sauce.
Vinny, don't put too many onions in the sauce.
I didn't put too much onions, Paul. 3 small onions, that's all I did.
3 onions. How many cans of tomatoes you put in there?
I put 2 cans, 2 big cans.
You don't need 3 onions.
Johnny D.
I gotta laugh because this is so true. There's so many people that would cook. Herbie Sperling was one of them who would cook. Oscar would cook. I would cook myself. Kevin Kelly would cook. So you had people that would cook, make dishes, and then give it to everybody. But each person had different, I guess, tastes, you would say. Who would put a lot of onions in? Who would put a lot of garlic in? Who would use a lot of lemon if we made pasta with chicken lemon, pasta with the broccoli and garlic and oil. So, you know, it's funny because the prison system is like that. But you know what? At the end of the day, we all made the best out of it, just the way they're depicted in this movie.
Leo did the meat. We didn't have a broiler, so Johnny did everything in pans. I used to smell up the joint something awful, and the hacks used to die, but he still cooked a great steak.
Vinny, how do you like yours?
We would actually use irons. We would have a base made where it held the iron, turn the iron on high, take out the gauge that it remains high, put a pan over it. So we'd get an aluminum pan, put it over it, and we'd actually cook in that pan. Then even in the wintertime, back in Lewisburg, in the day, when you did have those bars that you see on the window, they also had the steam pipes. So we would actually take bags, tape it to the pipe, and then put water in it, and the water would actually boil. So there was a lot of things. You get creative when you're in a prison environment. Even the radiators, too. Sometimes we'd take 2 pieces of bread, put some cheese in the middle, and then you wrap it in tinfoil, put it on the metal radiators. Do it in the morning. By the time you come back in the afternoon, you actually had grilled cheese. So you get very creative when you're in a prison environment, and you try to make the best out of it.
Medium rare.
Medium rare. Aristocrat.
See, you know, when you think of prison, you get pictures in your mind of all those old movies with rows and rows of guys behind bars. But it wasn't like that for Wise Guys. It really wasn't that bad, except that I missed Jimmy. He was doing his time in Atlanta.
Vinny, give me 2 steaks while you're in there, all right?
Now, what you see in this part, you saw a correction officer bring the food in. During my time, we didn't have that. We would get all our food from the kitchen. The kitchen workers would bring it back to the unit. They would bring, if there was steaks, they'd bring the raw steak, raw chicken, or cooked, either or, however we'd want it. But you see that's what you called where he's putting it all, a homemade ice chest. We would get the cardboard boxes, and then we'd find styrofoam. We insulate it with the styrofoam, a lot of tape. We put duct tape around it, and then put ice in it. And it would actually hold for anywhere from 12 to 24 hours. That was true. As far as the guards bringing in food, that wasn't my time. That was, I'm sure, back in the 60s, where the prison system wasn't as crowded, but it was more so corrupt at that time.
Sure enough, she goes in up.
I mean, everybody else in the joint was doing real time, all mixed together, living like pigs. But we lived alone. I mean, we owned the joint.
Well, battered them two son of a bitches. You
And that's true because back in my day, we had J Block, it was called, where it was a dormitory block style, but we had cells. I happen to be fortunate I had a single cell. We basically did control it. Cops really didn't bother us because we didn't cause trouble. And we made the best out of a bad situation.
couldn't recognize them.
Good, they deserved it.
Even the hacks we couldn't bribe would never rat on the guys that we did.
The neighborhood had respect. People loved one another. You left your doors open.
Sorry it took so long. The skinny guard's getting to be a real pain in the ass.
We're gonna have to do something about that bed.
I took care of him.
All right, what'd you bring?
All right, bread.
Good. Fresh.
Vinny, I got your peppers and onions, salami, prosciutto, a lot of cheese.
Come on. What else?
Scotch.
Nice.
Now, we would get bags like that, but again, that would come out of the dining hall from the kitchen guys. But liquor, no bottles of liquor during my time, but they would make liquor in the prison system. Actually, it's called Hooch. So some of the inmates, they would make the Hooch. And if they had 5 gallons of it, and at one institution, they were actually making moonshine. They were taking that Hooch, closing the 5-gallon bucket, and then they would have a copper tube coming out of the bucket. And then at the bottom, they would have it come out towards the bottom. It would wrap around into a circle, tight circle. That circle would be impacted in ice. As the steam is coming out, that's pure liquor. That was pure. And once it hits the ice, the coils, then it would liquefy. And then what you would get out of the 5 gallons might be a pint of straight moonshine. That's how creative these guys get. It is ridiculous.
Some red wine.
Okay. Now we can eat.
I got some white, too.
Give me the white, too. Beautiful. Okay, boys, let's eat. Come on, it's ready, Vinny.
Some more bread.
Tomorrow we eat sandwiches. You gotta go on a diet, Vinny.
Sandwiches are good.
Believe me. Johnny?
Aside from the wine, that would definitely be us. We would be sitting in the room at the table, all of us with all our pasta. Sometimes we take it in the common area where there would be a card table set up, everybody's chair, the plates, who's drinking whatever soda they want. And we'd all sit down and we'd have dinner together or lunch together in that type of environment. And those times, they were special. They were actually special in jail. You build a bond with your fellow inmates, gangsters. You get to see the way the people are, the way they really act. And you find out who's who with the Mafia, from your thugs to your just regular guys who try to portray being a thug. Their true colors come out when you're in the prison system. When I was in Lewisburg Penitentiary, like I said, we had kitchen guys. We had everything. We could get eggs, pasta, salads, meats, chickens. There wasn't anything we couldn't get. And the way it was set up there, now back in the 40s, 50s, 60s with Lewisburg, it was wide open. It was a different environment. But while I was there, you still had the bars on the windows, no air condition. Everything was wide open, old Gothic. Very dangerous place. It was definitely a dangerous place. But if you didn't gamble, you didn't do drugs, you didn't drink, you minded your own business, you do your time. The cops really didn't bother you because a lot of people there had life sentences. There was, I would say, a piping or a stabbing almost every single day there. But as long as you walk around, they know who the troublemakers are, who the people always getting into mischief. And at that time, we had Matty Madonna was there with me, Lil Oscar Ansorian, Kevin Kelly. You had Juju Rizzo, Frank Rizzo, that's his name, Donnie Tafaro, Chicky, Joseph Chicky Ciangalini was there. You had a lot of guys, Joe Grandi. These are mobsters from Philly. There was a lot of New York guys there as well. Al Greco was there, Lou Gatto. It was loaded with Italians, and we always stuck together. Except when I went to have an altercation, I went about it myself, and then eventually they found out, and they all got my back. But, you know, in the prison system, you have to stick together. Otherwise, you know, you have nothing. It's really an eye-opener. And a quick story. When I first got there, they put you in segregation to go through processing. And then there was a unit, it's called K-Dorm. It's in the basement. So once they release you from segregation, you go down to K-Dorm. This was the second night I was there. I'm up early in the morning, so it's about 4 in the morning. I go to the front. They crack the doors at 5 to go out to the dining hall or the yard. As I'm sitting there, I'm watching the TV. A guy who was 2 bunks over, and it's dark. It's dark. It's dreary. And as he's walking, you hear he has on his shower shoes. And I look, I'm like, okay. And he's holding himself like this. And then he tells the cop, I think I got stabbed. And I'm looking, his white undershirt was all dark brown. All I saw was dark. And then you see the blood dripping. So the cop right away, it's called the Deuces. He hit the Deuces. Everything gets locked down. All the cops came. And right there, I got hit with reality. Like, oh my God, this place, you have to be on point. And at first I got real comfortable for those 2 days. And then right away, it hit me like that. This place is no joke. And it put me to another level where, okay, I have to watch my back. This is a dangerous joint. Because then I was thinking, wow, this guy was 2 bunks over. What if the guy who went to go hit him, we call banged him with the knife, what if he made a mistake and it was my bunk? So from that point on, I knew it was a place where anything could pop off just like that, and just be ready to rock and roll and watch your P's and Q's. But that was Lewisburg, and if you conducted yourself like a man, you had no problems. But it was really a pretty good place to do time at the end of the day.